All right, guys, welcome in. Couple technical difficulties, a little bit late getting started here on the Garden Report postgame show, Celtics 76ers. We will wait as people are slowly arriving to the party, which the Celtics lost.
This is just vodka because that's how pissed off I am about this game.
I figured it was good. I was getting those kind of vibes from Jimmy on the text thread.
Well, that was an annoying game. You know me. I hate moral victories, so it's easy. By the way, the Nets got drilled by the Cavs in the second OT.
Yeah, I saw that coming. They were creating distance in the second half.
Whoa! In that second OT, they pulled away. Cavs. I want to talk about that game later. It's kind of interesting when you look at the box score. But
Cavs are sneaky good.
Huh?
Cavs are sneaky good.
Yeah. So Celtics lose 117-109. There's definitely some good things here, which we'll get into for sure. There's some annoying bad things. I'm going to start down the stretch here because this was a classic. This was one of those, like, you watch the Celtics piss away games in the fourth quarter and you get really frustrated last year sort of games. But at the 2:30 mark at 109-107, that was after the Theis alley-oop slam. It gets them within two. They make a nice defensive play where Smart pulls the chair out from under Embiid, go the other way. Smart, very loose with the ball, almost loses it, gets back tapped. Celtics lucky to retain possession. Then Jaylen turns it over when they get the ball back there, driving to the basket, gets up in the air, gives it away, sloppy. Then Philly comes down 111-109, couple possessions later. That ridiculous offensive rebound that nobody puts a body on Korma. That's a friggin' terrible play late in the game there. Foul, Philly 113-109. And then off of the three where Theis gets the rebound, then he's careless with it. He gets stripped by Simmons. Just way too much of that down the stretch. You're just giving away possessions and giving away the ball and not valuing the basketball late in the game. And they lost it based on execution. I also think Kemba sitting for as long as he did was a curious decision, but we can talk about it. Guys, your thoughts on the game? Because the end was really frustrating, so I'm starting there, and we can build on other stuff.
Well, the end was frustrating for sure. That Green play, especially the offensive rebound you mentioned, was the one that sticks out to me the most. You already got into that a little bit. But I, believe it or not, I'm going positive here. I thought there were a ton of positive developments tonight. Kemba Walker was awesome for large stretches of this game. They unlocked Daniel Theis. I mean, I had been waiting all year for that Kemba and Theis combination to start rolling again, and I think this lends more credit to Theis actually being the starter on this team going forward once Tatum gets back. I love what Marcus did tonight. Like a very inverse game for him, doing all his work inside the arc, in between, at the rim against Embiid. He was incredible here. Execution late was definitely a challenge, but you didn't necessarily have a closing force. Kemba being within the flow of a game. John, you mentioned that, him coming in awkwardly there after not playing the middle stretch of the fourth. And, I guess you probably could have got more shots for Brown late in the game, but that would be the only complaint I have. And even he cooled off a little bit after starting most of the game, 50%.
Yeah, I mean, I thought for the most part, up until the fourth quarter, late game execution, I mean, pretty much everything that really pissed off John tonight. I'm on the same page as John. I'm not on the same page with Kemba. We'll get into that in a little bit. I thought that Brad did a great job with him, and you could see the enthusiasm throughout the first half because obviously he's hitting shots. He's not afraid. He's penetrating. He's doing exactly what he does, and it showed how effective the Celtics or how tough the Celtics can be when he's playing that way. But then down the stretch, I mean, what happened to the days of the Celtics stringing together, two or heck, I was gonna say three, but let's just say two back-to-back defensive stops. I mean, that's what used to get them out of games, or at least used to help them close out games. Because when you're having big scoring night for Marcus Smart, which, in my opinion, his best game of the season, it's not even close. Daniel Theis, offensively, on defense, that two-man game with Kemba, it was almost like it's rejuvenated him. It's giving him a shot to say, hey, maybe I can fight for more playing time, or maybe I can carve out the role that I had before. I thought that you get the two best games, you get the best game out of Marcus, you get the best game out of Daniel Theis. And it's unfortunate it didn't materialize into a win because Jaylen Brown had a great scoring, had a productive scoring game. Looking at the team that scored 75 points on Sunday compared to what we saw against the Sixers, I mean, again, it really came down to those final 4 or 5 minutes where they just cannot string together stops. And that's a bit of a concern for sure. Jayson Tatum or not, that's what concerns me.
That's fine.
Most.
I'm one little quibble there.
The most.
One quibble. They can't string together stops, sure, Well, I mean, what are we doing here with these with the Embiid foul situation? He's difficult enough to guard straight up. Is there going to be a whistle every single time he gets the ball down low?
They have those
single
nights.
time?
We've seen those against the Celtics too over the years. There's those nights where he gets everything.
Fun to watch.
But they were surviving it, John. They were surviving it until that fourth quarter. You know,
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It can't be a foul every time just because he plows his way wherever he wants to go. Right. It can't always be a foul. He's initiating contact more often than not in those situations.
Almost every single time, right?
They have to rethink how they call this. You can't just choose to go somewhere. Someone's standing there and you just go flail around a little bit and they call a foul. Especially, I mean, Theis looked like he was going to cry.
What do you think of that?
He's like, it's hard enough being me. Like, can you give me a break here? You know,
he kept his composure to his credit, you know, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. He's going to foul out. He's going to lose it. He's going to get frustrated and just start swinging. And he didn't do that, you know?
Yeah. Well, John kind of took my point was basically you don't have a Joel Embiid stopper. Whether that means, you know, obviously he got a lot of calls in the fourth quarter. Some of them, you know, were a lot easier to take than others. And that's not really a knock on the Celtics. There's not many players out there that when Embiid is on can just sort of stop him. And we saw that he's an MVP frontrunner this year. The way he's playing, the way he has the Sixers playing. We can't talk about this without saying that the Celtics didn't have Jayson Tatum tonight. I know Josue mentioned it at the very end of his point. It's a huge factor. I mean, let's be honest. Without Jayson Tatum, you can beat the Orlando Magic. But let's be honest. You're gonna be very fortunate to beat a Philadelphia 76ers team with their best players in the game. The fact that the Celtics competed for as long as they did kind of goes back to a little bit what Bobby was saying, where he's taken the glass half full take out of this game, which I can see. I don't like how this game got away with him in the fourth quarter. I also don't like how Kemba Walker sat for as long as he did, but I also don't know how he's feeling physically mid-game. So I don't know if that was something where they were trying to stretch
Jimmy.
him out. It did. It did. But I mean, they don't want to overdo anything with him, and I don't have the, you know, I can't really comment on how they're going to bring him back, you know, with the knee. So he played the minutes he did. He looked good when he was out there. Did the layoff in the third quarter hurt the team or hurt him down the stretch in the fourth? Maybe. I mean, I really couldn't say, but it was a game that they could have won, but it wasn't a game that I went in there thinking this is going to be a game that they should win without having Tatum. So listen, it sounds like maybe, I actually don't know if it sounds like it, but there's a chance Tatum could be back Friday. And if that's the case, then it's sort of like your best versus their best. And I would hope for a different outcome.
Yeah, Brad put it at 50-50.
But the Embiid point,
50-50, yeah, I was going to say.
We can talk about Embiid all show. I mean, this guy, he's a physical freak. I mean, if you've seen
he looks better.
If you've seen Embiid play in person, and I've said this before this year, he's always been like in my top 3-4 guys where you just have to see him play in person. It's just really something to watch live, just the way that he scores, the way he dominates out there. But the refs don't need to help him as much as they do. And there are points where it feels like they just give Embiid the ball. And like John said, he backs his way down, does a little turn and flails his arms up. And what can Daniel Theis do? I mean, the guy has no choice but to be a little bit extra physical with somebody like Embiid. You want to be clean about it. But, you know, at some point, if the refs are just waiting to blow the whistle at, you know, the drop of a hat, then you kind of shit out of luck.